Hey. What's happening? What's happening? PCN. Good evening. And it's getting pretty close to it. Thanks for stopping in for another episode of On the Cutting Room Floor. I'm your host, Tony Ray Harvey. You know where I'm podcasting and broadcasting from. The great neighborhood of Greenhaven, Pocket, southwest part of Sacramento. Matter of fact, 8 minutes from downtown Sacramento. Yes, thank you for tuning in for another episode. Let's get right down into it. All right, well, it was a game that wasn't really about defense. It was about just managing enough to win the game, and that was all on the part of the Detroit Pistons because they did beat the Sacramento Kings on this Sunday evening, 139-116. At Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan, where I'm hearing there are frigid temperatures at that part of the country as well as the East Coast and most part of the Midwest going west, closer to the west. But it's definitely a mess back there in the Midwest, particularly that part of the country, and I hope everybody's doing well as the Kings. I hope they'll be okay getting to their next stop, which will be in New York, because they play the New York Knicks on Tuesday. They will play the New York Knicks on Tuesday, January the 27th, after this loss. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is their fifth loss in a row. So, All-Star Cade Cunningham, he had 29 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals for the Pistons, who improved to 33-11, 18-5 at home. They also hold a 5, maybe 6 game lead over the Boston Celtics for the best record in the Eastern Conference. So, this is a team that looked in disarray a few years ago. I know the Kings, while they were there, they was taking notes on, how they built this club up the way they are. And today they prove why they are on top of the Eastern Conference. And I'm talking about with their physical style of play as well as defense. And at times, I think they still probably the number one team that scores in the paint. But today it was about something that they don't normally manifest in these games, and that's 3-point shooting. And they did exactly that against the Sacramento Kings, which most teams do when they play the Sacramento Kings, because the Sacramento Kings still having troubles defending the three. Detroit made, let me go back here. Detroit made 16 of 31 shots in 3-point territory for 51.6%. And most of those threes were made in the first half. That was going on there. Now, Jalen Duren, the guy in the middle, he had 18 points. Tobias Harris, who also made about 3 threes in the first half, he had 16 points, and Duncan Robinson came off the bench. He had 13 points. They were part of 8 Piston players that had double digits. 8 different Piston players that had scored in double digits. Okay? And those players were Ronald Holland II, Jaden Ivey. Everybody know about him around these parts, the Sacramento region. Daniss Jenkins and Javonte Green had 11 points each for the Pistons. 8 players. 8 players led by All-Star Cade Cunningham with his 29 points and 11 assists. So Malik Monk, he had 19 points, 3 blocks off the bench for the Kings, who fall to 12-35 on the season, 3-19 on the road. I think they got a long season streak in that area as well. I got to look that up. But they are now on a 5-game losing streak. That is the Sacramento Kings. Now, DeMar DeRozan, he had 16 points, while rookie Nique Clifford provided 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 block in 33 minutes. He did start in place of Zach LaVine, who was unavailable with back soreness. So Zach LaVine did not play. Nique started. And Nique getting there. It's going to be a little while longer, but he's getting there as long as he keep getting these consistent minutes or sometime on the floor, whether he's starting or reserve, he's getting there. And I'm just loving some other aspect of his game. He's a really tough kid. People don't realize that. This is a really strong kid. I had asked him one time, does he bench press or anything like that? No, he said, no, I just work out with dumbbells. All right. Because if anybody can go up, and try to dunk on, certain players with force, with power, there's no doubt. That's based on strength. Okay. I don't know if he's not from the country, so he can't be country strong or something like that. But I just look at it like, it's just a God gift physique that was presented to him, for the type of strength. And it looked like he was about to get into a little dust up there, trying to protect his boy Keon Ellis late in that fourth quarter or late in the third quarter, something like that. So some stuff was going on with Holland, who pushed Keon Ellis down on the floor, and immediately, Nique Clifford was right there. Right there. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Okay. I'm just trying to keep the peace here, but you can't do that. I don't think people realize in the NBA how strong this kid is, but they're finding out. Now, I know DeAndre Hunter played for the Cleveland Cavaliers the other day. He found out trying to post him up. It would not happen. Now, Nique ended up fouling him, but Nique was not having that. No, you're not getting that type of stuff on me. You're not gonna try to body me like that. I'm looking at it like this. I believe Nique Clifford is stronger than DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre's about 6'8", 6'9". Okay, forward. Nique, good 6'6". Good 210 pounds, I would say. 210 pounds. But the kid his strength is deceptive. And I'm liking that, and I know Doug Christie liking that, and I know the Sacramento Kings are loving that as well. All right. So, yeah, Nique had 15 points tonight. Yeah. It's interesting enough, Detroit's game, it's really about control of the paint. As I said, I'm playing defense, but, within this game, they were behind, by a little bit. Then they, kind of bust out in the second half. They scored 78 points in the first half. Anyway, I think that's the most that the Kings on defense have given up this season, 78 points. And his last two games, they've been giving up a lot of points. Anyway, so there's just not a lot of defense going on right now with the Sacramento Kings. Something they got to hurry up and do because they played the New York Knicks again. They beat the Knicks here in Sacramento less than a couple weeks ago. And, the Knicks going to be looking for revenge. They didn't have their main man, Jalen Brunson, so this is definitely going to be a different type of contest when they head to the Big Apple and play in SMG, Madison Square Garden. So this should be, pretty good. But right now, what I'm looking at as far as the East, it's the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons. Okay, it's going to be tough when they get down to those playoff rounds, but they will have home court advantage, and they are going to surprise some people. Cleveland, I'm not really sold on Cleveland. I haven't been all season. They have been struggling. They're definitely not the same team that they were last season. Boston, they still in it, as we could see. Orlando, I don't know where they at in the review mirror. Then that's basically how things go. The Eastern Conference is going to be pretty interesting to see in these next few months. But I'm liking Detroit, and they're deep. They are deep, and they have taken on the mentality or the personality of head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, without a doubt. And that's why he was brought in there, because he does know how to work with young players, and he know how to develop them, and he know how to win. And he's been having his issues there, understand, things didn't work out in Cleveland for him, but he's a perfect fit in Detroit. Exactly what they needed. So have to give credit where credit's due as far as that front office in Detroit. That's how you build a program. That's how you build a franchise. That's how you develop players. That's how you get the right people in free agency and solidify a culture. And that's exactly what they have did. And I hope the Kings are paying close to that. And I'll say it, myself. Okay. You can laugh at the Washington Wizards all you want and talk about how crummy they are, and they are crummy right now. But they're only a couple players away, and maybe a couple seasons away for being one of the top teams in the East. It remained to be seen, but I was just seeing a glimpse of it, when they was playing the Sacramento Kings. I'm not going to push over this team because what we are finding, and I know it's that word blueprint, that these teams are willing to, start from the bottom, and build up, tear apart a team and just go from there, try to build a culture in another direction in order to win, in order to make the playoffs, in order to chase a championship. All right. That's just one of the teams that, I'm seeing. Utah in the Western Conference, I would say, is another team that I've been watching too. But right now, they're struggling with, certain people out, with injuries and things. But maybe next season, I'm banking on next season, because obviously, they're going back in the draft, maybe the lottery as well. Danny Ainge got a lot of picks already, waiting in the wings. It's just, that's how you do it. And I'm pretty sure Scott Perry is paying attention to this as well. And he's going to make that happen for the Sacramento Kings. Yes. There was something else that I noticed too. Domas is back. Of course, he didn't have the game that he wanted to have. Let's see what he finished up with. Oh, boy. Let's see what he had. 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. Okay. All right. He started as we figured that he would. Well, we figured that he would start the last 2 games, but he started today as he should. When he was, I think it was like early in the second quarter, he's sitting on the bench and he's having a conversation with Precious Achiuwa. Okay. So whatever it was, it had to do something with spacing. It had to do something with spacing because now Pressure has to adjust to having Domas in the fold too if Pressure is going to be starting. And the spacing is a big thing. And I can just tell the way Domas was pointing in, certain areas of the floor, probably where Precious should be while he's trying to, work the ball and facilitate on the offensive end. So that was pretty interesting to see. Now, Malik Monk did go down 103 at the 103 mark of the second quarter. So the second half is almost completed. I don't know what he did, knee or ankle injury, but obviously he limped to the locker room right before the half was over. But he was able to come back out in the second half. He did play, and as I said, he finished with 19 points. Definitely don't want to see him going because that energy, they definitely, if anything, they need that energy from him. And he was playmaking tonight, He was doing those things that he's accustomed to doing. Got to have Malik Monk, in there. Yeah, the Kings committed 19 turnovers. 15 of those turnovers were steals by the Pistons. So missed ball handling and not playing defense was the story of this game for the Kings. And giving up threes, left and right. Just to get triples here, triples there, Or I knew in that first quarter, especially when Cade Cunningham made a couple of them, and then Tobias Harris followed him when they made a couple triples. This is how it's going to be. This is the way it's going to be. And it's exactly what it's going to be. Okay. And Detroit is a physical team, as we already know about that too. So had to bring that up in there as well. Okay, I'm gonna try to make this short because I do want to see this game, as everyone probably already know, because I was watching most of it while I was watching Sacramento Kings game. The New England Patriots beat the Denver Broncos 10-7. So New England, once again, is on their way to the Super Bowl. They will be playing in February here in Northern California, Santa Clara to be exact, at Levi Stadium, home of the San Francisco 49ers. So I do want to get to that too. But there is something going on as far as the draft. And I did say that I was going to start talking about the upcoming draft. I had to finish a couple reports yesterday morning so I could watch Illinois play Purdue. But the game after that I was viewing with this Devontis guy from Brigham Young. Wow. But interestingly enough, if I'm saying that's correct, let's far as pronunciations. What I wanted to talk about as far as what we could see in the draft. As far as the order, 1, 2, 3, I don't know. We don't know that yet, at least for the teams. They're still jockeying for a position. Matter of fact, the Kings are still in there. The way I see it, if you lose, you win. If you win, you win. Sacramento Kings, cool. If you lose, you still win. Cool, because we're talking about, the NBA draft positions and stuff. But Saturday, January 24th, it was a historic day in college basketball. 3 freshmen each scored 40 or more points for the first time in Division I history. 3 freshmen. Now, I don't know if they're all going to come out. AJ Debontis, we are expecting him to come out. No doubt. That really may be the 1 or 2 pick coming out, the freshman. All right, I know everyone's talking about Cam Boozer over there on the East Coast playing for Duke, but AJ is definitely coming out. Now, I'm going to start with him. He had 43 points in that 91-78 victory over Utah. He made 15 or 24 shots from the floor, 9 or 10 from the free throw line, and he had 6 rebounds and 3 assists and 1 block. That's the first full game that I've watched him play. And this guy, to me right now, is the number 1 pick. This young man, without a doubt. Now, the second player, okay, he scored 42 points, and that's Kingston Flemings, University of Houston. He had 42 points in that 90-86 loss to Texas Tech. That was yesterday now, all right? That's yesterday. Now, I'm about to mention the third freshman anyway. Now, all 3 of these performances for their respective schools broke records. And again, matter of fact, this one that I'm about to mention, of course, I have a little bias on it. The third freshman is Keaton Wagler for my University of Illinois Fighting Illini. He had 46 points, so he had the most out of all 3 of these freshmen who scored 40 or more points yesterday. He had 46 points in an 88-82 win over Purdue and Indiana. And Purdue. It was a road win for him. Okay? Purdue was ranked number 4. Illinois came in ranked number 11. All right? And matter of fact, Illinois is riding on a 9-game winning streak, which happened to be the longest streak in Brad Underwood's history at Illinois since he's been coaching there for, since 2017? So 9 years. He has built that program up. And also, Brad won his 100 Big Ten game in that victory, too. But Keaton Wagler, that's the kid I'm talking about from Shawnee, Kansas. Okay? 46 points. He made 13 of 17 shots from the field. 9 of 11 in 3-point territory. He's also 11 for 13 shooting from the free throw line. I've been watching this man all season. If you know me, when it comes to Illinois athletics, and I'm not just talking about basketball. I'm talking about football, tennis, wrestling, rugby, all that stuff that I'm accustomed to watching in person right there on the campus when I was growing up. Okay, this is not no one thing, and no disrespect, to our beloved fans here in Sacramento. It's not no one thing that we deal with back there. That's why you cut me open, I might bleed blue and orange. This is what we do. But this right here, this is magic. This is magic. Freshman, about 6'6", maybe 185 pounds, maybe 180 pounds. He looked a little, he looked a lot skinnier before coming into this season, but you know how some of these athletic programs, they got a weight program, they got a dietitian, they got things to work on with you, and they make sure that you eat right because they have facilities where you have to come to eat, and they're going to make sure that you eat, and you're going to eat what they're providing, and it's nutritional value, okay? All these college programs all of them have this type of system going on for their program. So I expect him to get better. He's only a freshman. I'm not saying he's coming out in the draft, but there's a possible chance that he could be a lottery pick. All right. All three of them. If Kingston is, live up to his standard, and AJ DeBontis, he live up to his standard, and Keaton Wagler, he live up to his standard. Now, what I like about Keaton is he wasn't highly recruited. I think they were saying the team that was looking at him was Minnesota, also in the Big Ten, and then Murray State. But it was something that Brad Underwood saw on the tape. He didn't go out and recruit him. He just saw this on video somewhere, and it was something that he was liking what this kid was doing, and it wasn't scoring. All right? Because this kid can play point guard. He's been playing shooting guard. Kalen Boswell, the point guard, he's out for about a month, so now Wagler is going to have to slide over to the point guard position and run that. He's been running the point anyway. He was running it anyway, even though he wasn't slotted in that area because he couldn't play both shooting guard. But there was something that Brad Underwood understood about this kid by looking at video. He said, "Go get this kid." All right, and he had came back from a recruiting visit, Keaton Wagler, that is, and he had learned that he had missed a call coming from Illinois. And he had called him back and said, "Hey, I heard you guys called about me. What's going on?" And if you hear him during a press conference, he's extremely articulate at this point, for an 18-year-old kid, really stoic. It doesn't seem like anything that, rattle him. He's not too high, not too low. But he made this inquiry back and said, boom, later on, Coach Underwood, I want to be a fighting Illini. All right. Now, what I also like about this, too, the junior, from Sacramento, California. Let's just say that, all right? Andre Stojakovic, Paige Stojakovic's son, all right? He had 30 points before this game against Purdue. Andre Stojakovic scored 30 points against Maryland in that win before they played Purdue, all right? And I'm coming full circle with this because, of course, I know Paige Stojakovic, and I was able to cover those golden years when he was in Sacramento King uniform. But now to see his son in the fighting Illini uniform, he's going pro. I don't know if he's going to come out this season or whatever. He could. All right. Andre Stojakovic has won a couple games just on his defense alone. He just stopped a couple shots that could have been potential game winners or tie game winners or something like that. Yes. Yeah, I like what Brad Underwood is doing, but it's still yet to remain to be seen. They still got a long run in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is strong. I mean, really strong. Okay, UCLA and USC are doing well, coming into their second season in the Big Ten since they joined the conference and stuff. So it's going to be tight. The Big Ten might go 9 to 10 deep as far as tournament bids for the big dance, in March. I'm sure Illinois, if they keep this up, they could be a high seed as well. But so, yeah, what we're looking at here is Keaton Wagler, University of Illinois, AJ DeBontis, Brigham Young University, and Kingston Fleming from the University of Houston, all three freshmen. All of them scored 40 or more points. January 24th, historical record. All right. Now, look, I'm not disrespecting Scott Perry. I'm definitely not disrespecting Coach Doug Christie. All right. If Keaton comes out, wherever he winds up on that board, I would prefer him to go to another organization, NBA organization. Okay. Until the Kings still have to get their stuff correct. All right. But I could see Keaton going to a team like the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics. I can see that. Oklahoma City. I can see that. Him going to Denver, Colorado, because I like what David Adelman is doing with that squad. He took over from Mike Malone last season, and he has not skipped a beat. That team could be in contention on the West Coast, competing with OKC to get to the NBA Finals. I would like to see Keaton Wagler go to one of those organizations that's right now a little bit more stable. And I'm not saying, what Scott and definitely what Doug is doing is going in a different direction. I do see them ascending and stuff. But, with this type of player that I'm seeing, he need to go somewhere. He can go to Washington and play with it. And play with, he didn't get to play with him, and play with Will Riley, who was a freshman last year for Illinois, but he was a first-round pick for the Washington Wizards. I just, because I trust Brian Keefe. I do. He's not having the best success there right now with the Wizards, at least as far as win-loss record. But I think he does have a good understanding how to coach these young players and develop them. Yeah. I would prefer that. Or, as far as I'm concerned, because the Indiana Pacers and I do not like Indiana in any shape or form. But I am a Coach Carlisle fan. Rick Carlisle. Keep can go there. Shoot, man, play. But I'm not just not feeling for the Sacramento Kings right now. And I know if he came here, if he was drafted here, he would definitely get the love here, in the Sacramento region. No doubt about that. Development, provide that, with the situation here with Doug Crusty, because Doug know how to connect with younger players, that would work. That would work. But I just don't know right now. As far as I'm concerned, Keaton Wagler, for the Fighting Illini, he can play somewhere else. There's no disrespect for the Sacramento Kings fan in any way. The Kings got too many guards as it is, which could change here within the next week or two or over the summer. No doubt. They could use another point guard, another young point guard, but not this one. Not this. No disrespect, but no. No. Go to somewhere else, where he can get the, basically, I'm not saying it would be unequal treatment about the basic same thing that he probably would get here at the Sacramento Kings, but with a different organization. I would say I would love him to go play for the Chicago Bulls, but I don't know how much time Billy Donovan got there, all right? And he's a great coach. Billy Donovan is a great coach. He has been on the college level, and he certainly has been for the Bulls, but the Bulls haven't had a lot of success, okay? They can get to the play-in, but they can't get no further than that. So, Well, anyway, just cut this back there. I do have to say one other thing before I do sign off. I did miss out on a couple names the other day when I was talking about Kayla Anderson joining the roster for KTK 1140 AM. She airs every 10 to 2 from Monday through Friday. She is a woman, and she's a really talented, intelligent woman, and she's definitely going to serve that radio station well. And she just started like a couple of weeks ago, so she's on there from 10 to 2. But I also mentioned some other names, as I had mentioned KCRA3, Michelle Dapper. I had mentioned Fox 40, Fox 40, Vanessa Romo. But I forgot to mention Tristy Rodriguez, a reporter for NBC Sports Bay Area, and Sarah Hodge, who worked here in Sacramento for quite some time at CBS 13 to be exact. She is now a sports anchor and reporter for ABC 7 in San Francisco. These two women are really, really good, and they do appear on some of these radio airways as, providing editorial views, commentary, and their insights, on certain games and certain sports and teams and stuff like that. They are really extremely talented and good, but they're not on there solid-wise because, anyway, Sarah has to be, okay? She got a solid gig, working with in the radio broadcasting, and Tristy is probably one of the up and coming print journalists who's going to be nationally known here at some time. Extremely well educated on all types of sports, because out there in the Bay Area, she got of course, she got the Warriors, and she has the 49ers. She hasn't been covering the Sacramento Kings that much this season. I understand why. They're really not winning a lot. My guy, Mike Wagman, he's been doing some work for NBC Sports. He's been doing a lot of writing for him, so he's pretty much been handling it. They were both covering the team, so they was getting different perspective. One would write a game story, the other one would write a feature story. But the Kings not doing all that well. I don't know if they're going to be sending, I'm just saying, I don't know. I really haven't had these conversations with Tristy. But I know she'll be back here at some point. But right now, I believe she just was focusing on what was going on with the 49ers until their season had ended last week. But extremely talented. I have much respect for her. Okay. I think she's been doing this for about 2 or 3 years. Sarah Hodge, fly to W, girl. Fly to W. Okay, because her roots are back in Illinois. You know, her dad grew up not too far from where I'm at. He's a Chicago Cubs fan, as well as his daughter, Sarah Hodge. And I have met her father, a real cool dude. And they know how we feel about our sports in the land of Lincoln. And don't forget it, you know, California's home. I've been here for going on 38 years. I love it here. I'm here for a reason. It's been home. I've lived here longer than any other place in the country. This is home. Sacramento, California. This is home. Okay, what we got? Over 500,000 people in the city, about another 1.5 million in the county, and then another 500,000 with bordering counties. So there's about 2.5, 3 million people that live in this area. Okay, we're only a hop, skip, and jump from the Bay Area. I can get there in an hour and 15 minutes, at least to Berkeley. If I want to, I go up in the mountains, but I don't do that because I don't like snow. That's why I live out here. That's why I moved on the West Coast. Or I can go, 5.5, 6 hours south to Southern California, Los Angeles. Love it. Love this West Coast too. But, I'm a country boy from Illinois, and that's just the way it is. I never forget about your roots. Never forget about your roots. Hey, look, I want to thank you for stopping in for another episode of On the Cutting Room Floor. I hope this delivery was a lot better than the one that I did yesterday. I looked back over that video and I was like, I got to clean up some stuff, as far as my delivery and things like that. So, hey, I'm not, I'm a print guy, first and but if you come to radio and television, I can blend in just as well. But my thing is print, and digital online content, things like that. Understand that. But I do want to thank you for stopping in for another episode of On the Cutting Room Floor. I'm your host, Tony Ray Harvey. I will be back. Oh, yeah. We are broadcasting and podcasting from Black Magic Inc. Studios right here in the Greenhaven Pocket area. I should be back after that New York Knicks game. Matter of fact, I'm sure that I will be because they will face Mike Brown again for the second time this season, but this time in the Big Apple. So look out for me there. Once again, hey, peace, blessings, and love.